Hey cactus friends, it's Jenny from Cookies Cacti. Today I want to focus on a genus that I don't talk about very often, and that genus is Ferocactus. I feel like Ferocactus is another one of those not so hype genus of plants, but they are incredible. So today I would like to feature the Ferocactus in my collection. I've got my camera pointed at two of them right now. On the left hand side here is Ferocactus glaucescens. And it is the enormous type because you'll notice that there are no spines on this plant. This plant I purchased, gosh, I don't even remember how many years back. It's been doing well. I really like this plant, but I often just don't pay attention to it. And you can tell there are spent flower buds on it, so it's already a flowering age. You know, compared to my hand, you can kind of see how big it is. It's not huge, but it's also not teeny tiny either. Next to that, I have a Ferocactus Harare brevispina. Later on, we'll see that I also have a regular Harare in the front yard. This is brevispina because if you look at the spines, they're quite short. You'll see later the full spines on the regular Harare. I love this plant. I purchased it from Box down in Tucson. I don't remember when, but I love it. It's so attractive. Those short spines and the color contrast. Oh, let's look at the glaucescens from the top view like this. What a symmetrical structural plant. It's beautiful. This plant here is a Ferocactus chrysocanthus. Actually, I still have the label here. Oh, and I broke the label. It says yellow-orange flowers. Now, obviously, this plant is way too small to be of flowering age, but I love chrysocanthus. I mean, do I even need to say anything? Look at that. There's a yellow spine version, which is this one, obviously, and there's also a red spine version, which we've seen at the show and sale. And I don't know if you can see, but there are new spines coming in. I just love it when it grows super, super dense spines and the spines are really thick. You know, it's sitting in this pot. It's actually a Thompson Clayworks pot. I'm debating about whether to put this in the ground. I don't know how it takes UV compared to wislizeni and Harare, but I would almost want to try. I want this to grow a lot larger, and so it's going to need to be repotted at some point, but look at that. One of my favorites. One of my favorites. Oh, well. So I just turned around from the table we were just looking at, and I have a bunch more Ferocactus. This one is Ferocactus Pottsii, and it's variegated, if you can see on this side. Sorry, I hope my shadow doesn't get there. Okay. Can you see that bit of yellowing over there? That is variegation. It's been like that since I bought this plant, and I've had this plant for a little while as well. I purchased this from Arizona Cactus Sales. Over here I have a Ferocactus glaucescens, but of the spined type. You can see the difference between this one and that one. Spines. I probably purchased this from a big box store, and it was in, you know, one of those little 2-inch Altman plant pots. And I don't pay attention to it. That's probably a good thing. Okay, next you're gonna see a whole bunch of what look like seedlings. These are all Ferocactus wislizeni, which are native to Arizona, well, and Mexico, but you can find these in Arizona in habitat. These plants, along with all of these, are a mix between seedlings that I grew from seed and also seedlings that we removed from a pot on my parents' property. At the end of this video, I'll show you the plants on my parents' property, and we'll see the pot where some of these came from. Unfortunately, I didn't mark which ones I grew from seed and which ones we had actually harvested from that pot. So there's a mix here. But these are fairly easy to grow here. I just don't really pay attention to them. One thing about Ferocactus is that obviously we cannot really touch the skin. We can see it, but we can't really squeeze it. You could stick, you know, a blunt stick inside and kind of push on the skin to try to determine if the plant is thirsty or not, but you can also see it with your eyes. Like when they get really thirsty, they start to wrinkle. But for the most part, I don't really pay attention to them. I treat them kind of like the saguaro seedlings. So all these plants were actually grown from seed by me. They were seeds from plants on my parents' property. And I'll just make a comment that for some reason, I have a hard time growing Ferocactus from seed. I don't know why. This is, I think, the first batch that I ever tried, and I don't remember germination being very good. And then of the plants that have survived, there's only so many. I mean, I have 8 of these, plants here, of which some of them are my seedlings. And so you can see there's not that many. But once you can get them going and they get to like a certain size, they're actually fairly easy to keep alive, at least here in Arizona. Well, those are all the Ferocactus in this area. Let me go show you the others. Next is this potted Ferocactus. I don't know what species it is, so I'm not going to try to guess. But you can see, oh sorry, there's like there's like debris and stuff in there, so it's not that easy to see. But this plant is very obviously variegated. I purchased this plant from Arizona cactus sales. And I sort of just leave it. And you're going to notice on this side, I don't know if you can see because of the lighting, there's some bleaching there because I keep this plant, I was keeping it like this over there, hoping that the prickly pear was giving it enough shade, but on this side it looks like it was still getting too much sun because I have just rearranged things. So maybe I'll put it back and throw a little shade cloth on it until the weather cools down even further. It is October as I film, but the sun is still, it's definitely much cooler than it was in the summer, but the sun is still incredibly intense. Okay, we'll just do it like this for now. Should be enough. Okay, let's see what's happened here. Next is a Ferocactus I that I have left like this for the entire summer. I have not watered it. I have not done anything with it. Let's see how it is. It's still alive. That's a good sign. Doing better than I thought it would have done. Okay, I'm going to put the camera down and remove the shade cloth and then we'll come back. Okay, I have freed the I from the shade cloth. It is actually doing way better than I thought it would be doing. It looks nice and plump. I don't know if it's getting enough light or not. But I do find that it seems to be a little bit more sensitive to UV intensity. So I remember when the summer was here and I saw it stressing out, that's when I threw the shade cloth on it. And I've been doing that every year in the summer. I might keep it shaded until November comes along. I'll just do that for now. Okay, it's shaded again. I have another Ferocactus that's in the ground here. You can see it tucked in beside the ginormous prickly pear. This is a Ferocactus gracilis. It's been in the ground for years, but for some reason it just doesn't grow very fast. I'm just happy that it's still alive. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's not enough sun here or water. I do not really water these guys. They just go by rain. Maybe that's why, I'm not sure. But if you wet the spines, it's so gorgeous. Let me do that just to show you. Oh, let me see if I can aim this at all. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do. Can you see that? The spines got so dark red. Ooh. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh. So maybe it'll just stay really tiny for a long time, I don't know. But it's beautiful. This is Ferocactus wislizeni, and it is the yellow spine type. And I don't know if the camera can capture how wide it is. It's been in the ground for several years now, and it has grown like crazy. And you can see, obviously, it is definitely a flowering age because there's just so many cement buds. And some of these look like they've fruited, so successfully pollinated, most likely by bees or ants or other insects. This thing is just growing so well in the ground here. Look at that. Here, I'll put my foot next to it. You can see the size reference. This thing is incredible. It is sitting in an area right next to Tom, the totem pole cactus, where it gets really intense sunlight. And so in the summertime, when it starts to bleach on the southwest side of the plant, I'll still throw a shade cloth on it. I actually just removed it for the sake of showing you this plant today. Wislizeni, incredible Arizona native. The remaining 2 Ferocactus that I have are actually in my front yard. So this is Ferocactus I of the regular type. And we saw the brevispina version a moment ago, and now you can see the regular version. So you can see the spine color is kind of a very dark brown, almost black, but the spine length is much longer than that brevispina plant. This plant flowers profusely as well, as you can tell from the top, and it looks like we have some successful pollination by my insect friends, in which I will harvest the fruits for seed. And I have tried growing this plant from seed, and a couple of you have also been trying these seeds as well, Maria and Galena. And interestingly, the seedlings come up variegated, which is really weird. Well, this is the mother plant, completely solid green. I have no idea why the seedlings come up variegated. However, for me, I've been struggling to get these seedlings to survive into more maturity. They'll come up okay, and then they'll just die off. Actually, one of the pots of cookie seedlings is this Ferocactus I, but I'm having some troubles with those seedlings, so I don't know if it's going to be successful or not. But since we have so many seeds and we're going to get more seeds, there's just no harm in continuing to try. This is Ferocactus latispinus. And you look at it and think, okay, it's kind of unassuming, but there's a reason why this plant is special, and it's because it was my first Ferocactus. I purchased this plant from a big box store. It was probably maybe this big. I don't remember if it was maybe in a 4-inch pot. And it's been steadily growing, although not very quickly, but it's always been potted. I'm actually debating on whether to put this into the ground once it gets even cooler, so around the November time frame. You can see on the top that there are new spines coming in. So I remember upgrading this to a 4-inch clay pot, and then upgrading to 5-inch, and then now it's at here. I don't even know how big this is. Maybe an 8-inch pot? 7-inch pot, maybe? It just grows steadily. It seems to be fairly easy to take care of. I find it to be a bit more sensitive to UV. You can see, I don't know, I can't zoom with this camera again, but the skin is a little bit wrinkled, so I think this could use a drink. I'm not sure. But you can see, like, this one is sitting in full shade right now because it's afternoon and my house is east facing. It seems to be doing okay here. That's the one thing I'm debating on whether to put it into the ground, because once it goes in the ground, the light control becomes almost none unless I throw shade cloth on it all the time in the summertime. Whereas that Ferocactus I over there is in pretty much full sun and it has no problems at all. I'm considering to put more Ferocactus into the ground in the front yard. I think I'm going to have to pick Harare and wislizeni though. Those seem to be the most tolerant of the intense sun in Arizona. Maybe over there? I don't know. I think this Ferocactus latispinus was actually the second cactus that I ever purchased after my totem pole cactus. So this is one of those early plants that got me into this full-blown obsession with cactus in general. It is a special plant. I'm going to take you over to my parents' place now, where we're going to look at some of these Ferocactus wislizeni that is practically grown in habitat. And you'll see some very mature specimens. So let's go over there. We're at my parents' place, and I don't know if you can see, but there are several Ferocactus in the ground that we can see from this view right here. These Ferocactus I would consider kind of half habitat, half cultivation, because, for example, these are all Ferocactus wislizeni, but this plant here, it kind of gets water from the tree irrigation. So it looks really plump, looks really good. I have some other Ferocactus on the property I'll show that looks more like full-on habitat plants because they get no supplemental water. Here's another Ferocactus that is right next to the saguaro. You can see how fat that saguaro is. It's so well hydrated. And here's a Ferocactus sitting right next to it. And you can see it's becoming columnar. Quite amazing. Here's another one sitting right next to the oleander. And it is in flower. Big yellow flower. There's some seed pods next to it too. You can also get some supplemental water from, most likely from the oleander. Nice and fat and plump. Also, it rained a few times already, so the plants are looking way happier than they were earlier in the summertime. It is fall now, of course. Here's another Ferocactus. It's got the help of the shade from the mesquite tree. It's really good. Here's a Ferocactus, most likely is wislizeni as well, but I think it's more of the yellow spine kind. This has shown up in our video before. It looks amazing. It's in a spot where it doesn't get any supplemental water, but the rains that we got right at the end of summer really helped it out. Beautiful. Here we are right next to Julius. Magnificent Julius. And we see examples of Ferocactus that look a lot more like full habitat plants because there is no supplemental watering in this area at all. So these plants are surviving or living off of whatever rains that we get. So you can see these are in much, what would you say, more hardy shape than those other plants that we saw near the trees with supplemental water. They're still alive. I think they look healthy, but they look drier than those other plants. And you can see how these are all heading towards columnar growth. None of these are like basketball shaped, and low to the ground. They're all growing columnar. There's one plant over there that's in a pot. It's been in there since my parents moved into the house. So the previous owner set that up. And you can see also columnar. There's another plant down there as well. You can see how dense those spines are. That's what happens when you grow under a lot of intense sunlight. You look at this one, you'd think, oh, maybe it's a saguaro, almost in that shape. But it's not, it's a Ferocactus. And one dead giveaway is the flowers. There's a couple more here. And there's more kind of spread out throughout the property. But just show you a few examples of Ferocactus that is not in a suburban backyard or front yard. There's another one there, right next to the saguaro. Show you a few more examples of Ferocactus. They're up here. One of them is in a pot. The previous owner had set this one up as well. And it was from this pot that we had picked out a bunch of Ferocactus seedlings, and they were seedlings growing in that little gap around the plant. So the plant would flower, it would fruit, ants would come and eat stuff. Then the seeds would just fall out of the pods and then just fall into the pot itself, and then it would germinate. And so my mom came here and she just took like a chopstick and pulled out a bunch of the seedlings. And so I took those seedlings back to my house and then grew them. And those are the seedlings that we saw in the other part of the video. There are actually a couple of babies in there now, which I'll take a picture and just show you here what they look like. That is quite a cool plant. You can see it's very mature. And then there are 3 more plants here, which is interesting. It looks like a set of 3 columnar plants. Well, 2 of them are Ferocactus, and the one in the middle is a saguaro. Saguaro, Ferocactus, Ferocactus. Look how tall that is. Probably close to 4 feet tall or so. So some more interesting examples of Ferocactus that are growing in a more, I guess you could say, more rural area. This is not a suburb like where I live in Chandler, for sure. So a very different growing condition for these cactus. And we are back. I hope you all enjoyed the tour of my Ferocactus. It's an incredible genus of plant. If you're in Arizona, I highly recommend putting some of these in the ground. They will grow immensely. Now I'll just mention one more thing, is that this Ferocactus kind of gets some side water from the totem pole cactus and the Browningia hertlingiana behind it. So perhaps that's what helps it grow so fat. But I really like this. I want to put more of these in the ground. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tour of my Ferocactus. Happy growing, y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.